Hello everybody. I want to talk a little bit about leg positions today. People have been asking me about, positioning and in what way you're going to give the best input for your horse to understand what you mean and, the highest level of cooperation and collaboration. And so I wanted to start with the very basics on stirrup lengths, for example. If you want to take your leg out of your stirrups for a moment, just twirl your ankles, relax your leg down, don't push it down, don't try and pull back on your inner thigh. Some people do that. I don't think that's really helpful because it's going to readjust anyway as you're riding. But so let your leg just hang down, and then you should kind of feel a little bit, or you can visually do it or have somebody help you, and think that you want the bottom of your stirrup iron to hit approximately the height of your ankle bone, your inside ankle bone, right? And then you're going to just put your feet in, and this is a nice saddle that I'm sitting in that kind of helps me with my overall adjustment. And you always want to think, shoulder, hip, ankle should approximately line up vertically. And then, so that's your, I want to say, neutral leg position. From here, you're going to give most of the input that your horse needs to know in terms of what kind of rhythm you want. And walk, trot, and canter, all three different gaits, right? So it's going to be an on and off, a little vibration like this. I don't know if you can see that, but there's always going to be just the quality of just a little bit of a hand tabbing against your thigh. It's never a squeeze or pressing, or in the worst case scenario, a kvetching kind of feel. It's always just a light contact, and then there needs to be air. Always imagine that the nerve endings underneath your leg need to breathe. There's no constant contact with the lower leg. The upper leg, the thigh, and the knee should be in a position where your knee points downward, but it's also in a comfortable contact with your saddle, with the panel right here, so that you can make contact, and by even increasing the knee pressure a little bit, it actually anchors your lower leg a little bit. So from here, from your neutral position, you can go now into a little bit more forward. If you can see that, almost trying to touch the horse closer to the front of the girth with the stirrup bar. That's the idea. What actually that translates into is a little vibrational quality that the horse feels from your upper calf. And because your heel is dropping low and it's kind of elastic like this, and it's not just steady pushing down, but it's elastic, your calf muscles become nice and tight and hard. And so your horse can perceive these vibrations that you're executing. So here's a little bit farther forward. This is where you're going to give your horse your forward cues. Let's say you're coming out of a walk or out of a halt. Here's your leg in neutral. And now you're going to say, okay, so now I want a little bit more energy. You're going to cup, I always call it cupping, your lower legs forward, and just give a little vibrational cue closer to the girth like this. Then when your horse moves off of your leg, you're going to go back into your regular neutral, and you're going to go into walk, trot, or canter rhythm aids. And I'll show that to you in a moment in a little different angle. I want to talk about the third position of the lower leg. Again, always think that your knee, with even a tiny little bit of positive pressure, can serve as an anchor to, reposition your lower leg in whatever angles and heights you want it. And so the third position is the little bit farther back leg position, and it's different for different horses. Some mares and also some geldings or stallions might not like it if you go too far back. So it could be a very subtle from here to here kind of deal. So let's just say here's your farther back third leg position, and that is called the supporting leg. So that means that it supports the other leg that usually, let's just say this is your outside leg. If I were to ride to the left right now, in all three gaits actually, walk, trot, and canter, the outside leg would be in the supporting position. And it would echo what the inside leg, the more predominantly driving leg, always says to the horse, right? So it would be, in the trot, it would go in the same rhythm as the inside leg goes on, in this little bit farther back position. And then if you wanted to slow down, or you wanted to, just stay in the sitting trot and just say, okay, so here's straight, here's my little bit farther back leg. Some horses may need, as you go, for example, onto a circle, this leg to be a little bit stronger. So your supporting leg becomes, I know I'm talking a lot, your supporting leg becomes sort of like the other part of an embrace that you're creating for your horse from the top down, right? This is also where your leg goes when you give the canter aid. The outside leg goes farther back. Then you're going to sit up, make sure that you give room for your horse to come up in front of you, and the inside leg would go forward and on, right? And that's the canter cue. But let's just stay with these three positions for, in general, just walk and trot. Here is driving, trot, 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 your inside leg driving in the neutral position. The outside leg is a little bit back. Also in the corners, if you ride a corner or a turn, the outside leg is a little bit in this position. Inside leg is here, right? Then let's say you want to go one gear up from walk to trot. Both legs go here. And I'm exaggerating a little bit. It's not that much for every single horse. And some horses, you could just vary it very, very mildly, very little. And other horses need a little bit more of a, spelling it out for them, especially when they're younger or not quite trained to this. But the idea is that we're actually taking advantage of the natural reflex buttons that the horses have. The natural go buttons are here. Here is your neutral driving position where the horse doesn't mind when you stay there with your inside leg mostly. And here are the slow down buttons. If you go farther back like this, from here you can collect and ultimately go also into piaffe. Really collected, trot on the spot. So that is in terms of your leg position from the side. I'm going to turn Cooley here so that you can see us from the front, because there's one more missing piece that I want to talk about. And that is, if you give input to your horse, the input, people always say, well, I don't know how much of my lower leg should move. And some people even complain about saying, I don't know, my legs seem to flap off and flop off, and how can I keep my legs more quiet or more precisely coordinated? And I think a big key to that question is that you're going to keep your knee pressure with a slight on positive tension connected to your saddle and to your horse's torso. From there, you can probably see this pretty well from the front. You can actually just go here, 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 and he's actually responding to that. I don't want you to right now, Cooley, thank you. But this is where your horse is comfortable, and the energy comes from almost as if you want to say, I'm going to do this in an exaggerated way, as if you're going to cup your horse into, see that? Here's your cupping. This is your forward cupping. In the walk, it's left, right, left, right. And of course, Cooley wants to go right now. I just want to demonstrate it. So I'm not going to do it very hard. But here's left, right, walk. Left, right, depending on how much your horse needs. And then here's trot. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And let's say you wanted to canter to the left. My left leg would be forward here, and my right leg would be back. And then it would be on and on and on and on together. Whenever your wave motion in the canter takes you downward, your legs come on, and you're going to go like a jellyfish, on and on and on. And that's pretty much a good summary, I think, of things that you can keep in mind when you start riding a little bit more consciously with your leg aids. And yes, Cooley, you're a very, very good horse here, standing so nicely for me. Now a fly is bothering him, and we're going to come to an end, and I hope this is helpful to you. Whoop. Thank you again, and happy riding.